At 10 o'clock this morning, Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson will make an announcement related to President Donald Trump's controversial travel ban. We will be carrying that press conference live. Alongside him will be Washington Governor Jay Inslee, who joins me now over the phone. Mr. Governor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We appreciate the time. I want to start by just stating the obvious. You are against this ban. You believe it's unconstitutional, un-American. You called it needlessly cruel, and you said it was akin to printing recruitment posters for ISIS. So I want to move on past your opposition and talk about what's going to happen now. The first thing this morning, for anyone who is working, studying, or otherwise living in Washington state, who is a citizen of one of these countries, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Sudan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, do you suggest that they not leave the United States for the time being if they hope to come back?
Well, they have to make personal decisions, of course, and I can't speak to their personal circumstances. I can tell you that this is a serious issue. The administration has sowed so much confusion and misinformation and lack of clarity on this that it's difficult to know the answer to that question. In the last 48 hours, they've said about 8 different contrary things. So really knowing what they intend to do is really anybody's guess at the moment. Now, I can tell you that our efforts are paying off. The president has backed down in the last 40 hours to some degree when it comes to people who hold green cards and are legally here working and studying in our country. And I think the fact that he has backed down shows both the power of individual voices when we band together to speak out against this unconstitutional act, and also showing that they were wrong to begin with, that their efforts to prevent Washingtonians and Americans from traveling when they are legally here are just absurd. So I think we have shown, A, they were wrong, and B, that when we speak out boldly and vocally, that we can make this administration back down. But the problem is we still have such lack of clarity from the administration. For instance, we have a citizen of our state. I was talking to her cousin. He's a Boeing engineer. I was at the airport Saturday night. The Trump administration allowed him to get on a plane. He had a totally acceptable way to come into the country. He left Vienna to meet his wife back there, who is a citizen, who lives in Seattle. Flew across the Atlantic Ocean, and 6 feet away from giving her a big hug, they jerked him off and flew him back to his place of origin.
Yeah, a lot of confusion.
That type of confusion is unacceptable. We expect better. We expect a government that functions rather than one that gives us miscommunication and chaos and cruelty. And so it's hard for me to answer that question exactly.
Okay.
I would certainly pause and think about it seriously.
Yeah, like you said, there was obviously a lot of confusion at airports across the country, including SeaTac. Just over 90 minutes from now, you will be standing alongside Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson. We're expecting him to make a major announcement related to how the state plans to proceed in response to this travel ban. Can you give us a preview of what we should be expecting?
Well, it's a little difficult because I want to make sure the Attorney General makes the announcement, so I won't go into it specifically. I'll allow him to make this. We have been working closely together. I got on the phone with him as soon as we found out what was going on Saturday, and they've been working overnight. I appreciate their diligence on this. But suffice it to say, there will be a significant announcement that will be protective of Washington's residents. And these are our neighbors. These are our people who work at Microsoft and Boeing. They are people who many have legally come into this country. And frankly, they're students, too. I met a college student at University of Washington. She's a Husky. I was a Husky. But she was born in Syria. And now she is threatened by this and her ability to move about and study. And so I think what you will hear today is a very concerted action on behalf of the state of Washington to protect our residents. We can't allow just people to be on their own here. The state needs to step up to the plate to protect its residents, and that's, in fact, what we will be doing today. And it's important now, more than ever, frankly, I think, for all of us to speak up and act as we can, because this is a democracy. One of its fundamental strengths are checks and balances. We don't allow just one branch to control, and we are going to ask for the checks and balances that are represented by the American judicial system.
And we'll be watching that announcement closely. One more question for you, Mr. Governor. We're running out of time here. You were a busy man this weekend. There were protests at SeaTac Airport. You also made an appearance at a protest in downtown Seattle last night. I was remarking that I've covered an awful lot of protests in this city. At the center of them has been Westlake Park, and I don't know that I've ever seen quite that many people down there. What was the message you wanted to share with that crowd last night?
Well, it's a message I received from the crowd. It's a very diverse group, and people all over the state are in the streets expressing their First Amendment rights peacefully. We saw it during the Women's March the previous weekend. We shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't have a president that is so callously indifferent to the rights of citizens, but we do, and as a result of that, people rightfully, peacefully have a voice, and they're expressing it. And frankly, and again, I like to say that it's been effective. President Donald Trump backed down in the face of this criticism that is nationwide. It isn't just in the state of Washington. And by the way, it's not just Democrats or women or immigrants. We are having an increasing number of Republican voices, Senator McCain and others, who have voiced a concern that this actually jeopardizes our national security.
And we will, Mr. Governor.
It reduces our ability to be allies with our allies.
We appreciate you joining us this morning. We'll obviously be watching that announcement from you and the Attorney General very closely this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And I do want to remind all of you that, again, that announcement expected at 10 a.m. We are expecting the Attorney General to announce some sort of legal action in regards to Trump's immigration ban. We're asking you to stick with us a little longer than you usually do this morning, as that announcement will come at 10 a.m. Again, we will carry it live.
And the governor talking a little bit about what may be proposed. He didn't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but he did say that this would be a measure to protect workers and students in our state, many of whom are affected by this immigration ban.
And I think, if anything, to protect them from uncertainty. I've had some conversations on social media with some individuals who are nationals of one of those 7 countries who are sort of worried about, where do I stand? Is it okay to leave the country, to visit family, to travel, et cetera, and expect to come back into the country? So I think, if anything, what we're going to see from the Attorney General, in line with other Attorney Generals across the country, both Republican and Democrats, is just a clarification and some protections for individuals who are here. And I think you're also going to see an effort to perhaps end this ban entirely. And again, it's a temporary ban, 90 days when you're talking about travel from those 7 countries. So again, we're going to carry that announcement live, and we'll be here to discuss the implications of it afterwards.
All right, Brandi, thank you. Meantime, tech giants responding to President Trump's immigration ban include local companies, Microsoft and Starbucks.
We have their reaction to this controversy. We'll be right back.